don't needed underwear, you could have just asked me instead of stealing it.
The air here carries a weight dense, oppressive, almost toxic. For weeks, I've been fixated on the harrowing reports about the crisis gripping Philadelphia's Kensington neighborhood.
Guess what? Guess what they have?
The tensions right now in Kensington are higher than I've ever seen them.
And it's crazy to me, the increase of insanity.
Come here. Shit, you got it.
Still, no preparation can truly brace you for the first encounter. This is more than an urban decay. It's a raw scar on the conscience of America, a vivid reflection of the system's failure to safeguard its most vulnerable.
They've lost all respect of self, let alone the property or others. They don't bathe. They don't have regular conversation. They don't pray. Half of them don't eat or sleep.
I've spent time walking through the heart of this modern catastrophe, not as a distant chronicler, but as an unflinching first-hand witness. We are confronted with a reality that is fractured, yet undeniably human. What defines America more sharply, the promise of opportunity, or the quiet, crushing failures laid bare on these streets? The immediate jolt. Kensington's streets of despair. I've started my first steps along what at first glance looks like a normal city street. Yet barely a few yards into Kensington's main corridor, that illusion crumbles. The first assault on the senses is the odor, a pungent, nauseating mix of trash, stagnant air, and something deeply organic, a scent that tells of neglect and human suffering left entirely unchecked. This barrage of sensations hits instantly, forcing an uninvited immersion, stripping away any attempt at detached observation. My palms are damp. My attention narrows sharply to the ground beneath my feet. I try to keep a steady stride, yet each step feels burdensome, almost weighted by the atmosphere itself. The streets are immediately dominated by makeshift encampments. Tents, tarps, and loosely built shelters line the sidewalks, forming a grim, transient cityscape. These are not the somewhat organized, if sad, tent communities seen in other reports. These are delicate, desperate constructions often fashioned from whatever scraps could be found. Tattered blankets drape over fences. Grocery carts pressed into service as storage for entire lives are chained to lampposts. It is in this cold shadow of once bustling commerce that the term homeless in America gains its most striking visual meaning. As I move forward, my camera is trained carefully, striving to reveal the truth without exploiting those who inhabit it. Most people I pass are either bent over, immobilized by their situation, or move with slow, uneven steps. A heavy silence hangs over their suffering, occasionally pierced by muffled cries that appear suddenly and vanish just as fast, absorbed by the rumble of the elevated train above a sound of collective interior anguish. No one can walk through this without sensing the immense weight of reality here. I wrestle constantly with the impulse to look away, forcing myself instead to observe, comprehend, and honor the humanity beneath layers of grime and hardship. It is a terrifying contradiction, a neighborhood packed with people yet profoundly isolated. the silence of the forsaken faces of abandonment. Rather than observing casually, I now move deliberately, quietly, studying the scene, trying to grasp what life here truly looks like. I'm searching for the small details that the everyday Philadelphia commuter protected by car windows and the rush of their routine completely misses. And trust me, these details speak louder than words. Abandoned items and tiny traces of survival lie scattered among the litter. The makeshift shelters are painted in muted, almost dreary tones, seemingly designed to merge with the soot-stained brickwork, as if those inside are desperate to vanish from a world that already acts as if they don't exist. I slow my pace near an overpass where encampments are thickest. The light here is colder, harsher, more unyielding. There I notice her, a young woman, barely 20 perhaps, sitting with her back pressed against a concrete pillar. She isn't crying, she isn't yelling. Her gaze is empty, fixed on nothing. Her expression is not anger or sadness, but a profound, total emptiness. It's the haunting look of a soul that has entirely checked out. Her presence alone forces an unsettling question for anyone who cares about this nation. How can a society as rich and supposedly compassionate as ours allow such a large portion of its youth to vanish into this kind of hopeless disengagement? As I move on, the sound of my own steps feels intrusive, loud, completely out of place. The tension is thick, a mix of the residents' protective withdrawal and my own unease as an outsider. I am acutely aware that I am an intruder, a spectator with a camera. I can pack up and leave this suffering behind. This sharp awareness, this uneasy recognition of my own privilege, is an ethical dilemma I cannot dismiss. It starkly separates me from the harsh, painful reality faced by the people I'm documenting. Systemic collapse and the lure of escape. As I move further into the heart of the neighborhood, the streets tighten and the atmosphere feels increasingly oppressive. Scattered around me are the remnants of people's lives, discarded ID cards, ripped photographs, a college badge from an institution long gone. Each fragment whispers a story of what once was a wedding, a graduation, a family memory frozen in time. These pieces serve as a stark reminder that no one arrives here suddenly. Every individual on these streets has followed a long, painful path to reach this point. What unfolds here isn't solely about addiction. It's about a country failing its citizens through unaffordable housing, fractured mental health care, and the slow erosion of the social safety net meant to protect the most vulnerable. The substance crisis plays a cruel dual role. It both drives people onto the streets and deepens their suffering once there. For many trapped here, drugs and alcohol aren't about recreation. They offer escape, even if only for a few fleeting hours from the relentless weight of reality. That temporary relief becomes the only way to silence the storm of pain, trauma, and despair that never truly ceases. It is not indulgence, it is survival. What we see here is not just Philadelphia's tragedy. It mirrors a nationwide sickness that has been ignored for far too long. How many more lives must fade before we acknowledge that homeless in America is not just a term, but a symptom of something profoundly broken? Every major city has its own version of Kensington spaces where desperation gathers visibly while the rest of the world rushes by. As I watch a small group huddled around a flickering fire, a raw scene of communal survival, my mind confronts the reality of abandonment. These individuals have been deserted not only by family and community, but critically by government systems meant to safeguard their well-being. The absence of a coordinated, compassionate, and comprehensive response represents not merely a policy failure, it is a moral failure. Powerless and morally drained, witnessing human fragility. I'm now on a stretch of sidewalk nearly completely obstructed. It's almost impossible to pass because of the dense crowd of people and scattered debris. Being forced to slow to an almost complete stop ironically heightens my sense of exposure and vulnerability. Right there, I witnessed a small yet telling interaction. I see an outreach worker from a local organization attempting to offer a warm blanket to someone lying beneath a tarp. The person under the tarp does not stir or respond, remaining entirely still, withdrawn from the world around them. The worker quietly places the blanket nearby and moves on, defeated. This refusal of help, this refusal even to acknowledge the outside perfectly, embodies the profound retreat and personal rejection that define life here. The weight settling over me is more than sorrow. It is a corrosive sense of helplessness. What can I, a lone observer with a camera, actually accomplish against a crisis of this magnitude? The emotional burden of witnessing so much suffering without the immediate capacity to intervene is physically exhausting. My chest tightens. My breaths come shallowly. I feel an urgent, almost desperate need not to flee, but to search for the root of this despair, to find that small point where systemic change might finally take hold. I glance at the empty, graffiti-covered storefronts, remnants of a time when this was a thriving neighborhood. It makes the economic realities painfully clear. Gentrification elsewhere in the city pushes people here, concentrating poverty, while the local economy has collapsed, leaving no legitimate avenues for survival. This area has effectively become a forgotten zone where social problems are pushed far from the view of wealthier districts, only to fester and grow worse. This is the tragic, inevitable result of addressing only symptoms instead of tackling the structural inequalities that sustain homeless in America. The gutter and the train, stark contrasts of survival. My route eventually brings me under the full weight of the elevated train line, a steel giant that rattles constantly, a relentless reminder of the world's racing past. The contrast is striking. Above, the train carries people to jobs, homes, and lives of relative stability. Below, the pavement is occupied by those utterly left behind. The train itself symbolizes movement and opportunity, its shadow a stark emblem of stagnation and disconnect. Standing there watching the train barrel overhead, I can't shake the deep sense of how arbitrary fate can be. The human suffering I am capturing is not some distant abstract crisis found in a newspaper abroad. It is happening literally beneath the daily commute of thousands of working Americans. This duality forces a harsh moral question. At what point does mere awareness of this extreme suffering become an active, inexcusable complicity? This question is not meant to place blame on viewers, but to spotlight the systemic neglect that allows this crisis to persist year after year, regardless of who holds power. A short distance further, I notice a woman attempting to wash her face near a storm drain using a small, nearly empty bottle of water. Her struggle for basic cleanliness, the most fundamental human need, is heart-wrenching to observe. It underscores that the loss of dignity may be the most cruel, painful aspect of being homeless in America. When every single moment is consumed with survival, finding food, securing a bit of warmth, or simply a place to hide for the night, the ability to care for oneself or plan for the future vanishes completely. The urgent, relentless needs of body and mind override any possibility of a longer-term life. The train rumbles above us all, yet it moves in two entirely different directions, one toward tomorrow, the other trapped in a relentless, devastating cycle. Inside versus outside, the weight of observation. My time here is coming to a close, and the internal tension is reaching its peak. I am fully aware that I will leave in just a few moments while the people here remain trapped in a relentless, cyclical struggle with the same daily hardships. This realization prompts one final vital observation: notice how Kensington's residents interact with one another. Even amid profound isolation, small, subtle acts of mutual support emerge: someone sharing a cigarette, a quiet warning, a hand helping another rise to their feet. These tiny glimmers of solidarity reveal that human connection, though fragile, still survives even in this moral wasteland. They have effectively built a community of the marginalized, a fellowship bound by shared trauma and systemic abandonment. I passed an empty lot where the city had cleared out an encampment. All that remains is mud and scattered debris. It appears as though the city is taking action, but it feels superficial rather than meaningful. It is a temporary sweep that utterly fails to address the deeper socio-economic despair. This community urgently needs real, lasting support: comprehensive healthcare, mental health services, affordable housing, and job training, not merely cosmetic cleanups. This absence of genuine aid is precisely why the crisis persists and remains so deeply rooted. My camera as a silent witness has captured moments of immense sorrow. But I must remind both you and myself that these images offer only a glimpse. They cannot convey the constant grinding anxiety of life here, the ever-present danger, or the emotional numbness required just to survive each day. The reality is always far heavier than what appears on film. Reflection and reckoning, confronting a nation's neglect. I finally turn away from the central intersection and make my way toward the outskirts of Kensington, where a hint of normalcy returns: a slightly cleaner sidewalk, fewer tents. A wave of emotion hits me immediately. It's a heavy mix: personal relief that I can leave and an overwhelming guilt because I am able to do so. My observation is complete, but for thousands of residents here, the brutal cycle is only beginning again. I find myself mentally processing everything I witnessed: the cries of despair, the vacant stares, the acrid stench, the silent yet telling language of discarded syringes. All of it leads to one devastating truth: the American social contract has failed spectacularly right here. These people are not moral failures. They are victims of failed policy. They are casualties of a culture that prioritizes economic efficiency over basic human compassion, and of a healthcare system that treats addiction and mental illness as personal shortcomings rather than urgent public health crises. This experience forces us to confront our national priorities. We invest billions in military aid and corporate subsidies, yet we cannot properly shelter and care for our own citizens at home. The raw, visible despair of Kensington is not merely local news. It reflects a deeper sickness in the heart of the nation. The final devastating piece of the homeless in America puzzle is our collective choice, whether conscious or not, to look away. It is easy for those of us with roofs over our heads and food on our tables to consider Kensington's crisis as distant or abstract. But the sheer scale of suffering I observed demands that we fully grasp the severity of this reality. We must move beyond mere sympathy. Feeling sorry changes nothing. Only an unwavering, persistent demand for structural reform will. Empathy must be converted into action. Conclusion and the necessary link. Why homeless in America persists. I'm sitting in my car now, the street stretched out beyond the windshield, the engine silent, the world outside still spinning in its usual chaos. Inside, the quiet is almost unbearable, a heavy contrast to the relentless noise sirens and low hum of suffering that filled the air outside. My hands still tremble slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of everything I've just witnessed. The goal of this video has always been straightforward: to bear witness, not to sensationalize, not to exploit, but to confront the unvarnished reality unfolding in Kensington. We have seen tents scattered along the sidewalks, exhaustion etched deeply into faces, and the profound erosion of dignity wrought by poverty and addiction. Yet these are merely surface symptoms, the visible signs of a much deeper wound. The real question lies beneath it all. How did it come to this? What has happened in this country to allow entire neighborhoods to sink into such despair? These scenes were not created overnight. They are the cumulative effect of policy failures, neglect, and an economic system that has left too many behind. This is not about moral weakness or poor choices. It is about the quiet breaking points that occur when opportunity vanishes and survival replaces hope. To truly grasp this humanitarian crisis, we must move beyond the immediate shock, the needles, the encampments, the empty stairs, and trace the unseen paths that brought these people here. Each story is a chronology of collapse, job loss, mounting medical debt, mental health struggles, fractured families, inaccessible healthcare, and unaffordable housing. When all these forces converge, falling is inevitable. It is not a choice. It is gravity. This journey through Kensington has provided only a glimpse, a single step into an ocean of despair that demands understanding, not mere observation. Tomorrow, I intend to continue this work, to listen as much as I observe. I want to create space for those willing to speak, to share how a series of small misfortunes can avalanche into the complete loss of everything familiar. The truth here does not need embellishment. It simply needs to be acknowledged. The streets of Kensington do not ask for pity. They demand awareness. And that awareness, however uncomfortable, is the essential first step toward understanding why this persists and what it will take to finally stop it.